Good morning, everybody. All the dignitaries here. I see a lot of people from friendly foreign services. A lot of people from the industry, startups. Great to see you all. I think a lot has been talked about some aspects of chai by our previous speakers, and I'll avoid all that, and I totally agree with what has been said. I will concentrate quickly, briefly, on what I think about Atmanirbharta, share some thoughts on that, on innovation, which is really critical for the future. And I too was talked about indigenization, international collaboration. I see a lot of friends internationally, and I think I will touch upon some thoughts on that too. Atmanirbharta, I think very, very fundamentally it is to do with our own designed and developed systems with technological, through innovation, through technological, developments, and inducting those into the services. Atmanirbharta, a part of Atmanirbharta is also being manufactured in India. That has largely been the scene till now. I don't consider it as true strength of Atmanirbharta, but it is a very important strength to have to get the ecosystem right in terms of ability to produce, ability to further enhance capacity and capability development. An important aspect of Atmanirbharta is also to handle the systems that we have in terms of indigenizing it. That means our current capacity, the capability which will last us for the next 20 to 30, in some cases 40 years if it's recently inducted, ability to indigenize and ability to have our own systems, modernize. In indigenization, wherever on the existing systems we have come across obsolescence, each of those indigenization has been successful. Wherever we have tried to do indigenization as a replacement, import replacement, 95% of those have been unsuccessful because of lack of energy, thrust, focus from the players that were to do the replacement. That's to talk about primarily DPSUs, because it's a hard task. You have to get it airworthy. You have to replace. The foreign OEMs are not too keen. The Indian OEMs are not too keen because it's too much hard work. Okay, so it all boils down to that. With a fundamental shift of policy, and I think Jay captures the spirit of this policy for the future, that we need to innovate, we need to do technology development. In areas that are critical, we need to develop our technological sovereignty for sure. And it is not good enough to have so many startups, so much energy in the startup world, in the MSME world, as so much, that you see in the industry front on the field. It is important that technology, once it gets developed or whatever is innovated, like Marshal Dixit said, goes into the field. And to go into the field, it has to be linked with either the systems that are being developed, that is DPSUs or DRDOs, or the larger industry players, or the services directly if it is networks, and thereafter see the light of the day in the hands of a soldier. If you just see the recent conflicts or our own of Sindoor, I think if you look at some low-hanging fruits for the future, and I want to put it, most of it is known, but just to summarize quickly, I think the low cost, whether it is drones, loitering munitions, a whole plethora of such capability, the counter-UAS system, which is still under formulation development, it is still evolving, the directed energy part, weapons part of it in particular, the kind of networks we will need, the kind of sensors we will need, complete ISR, persistent ability to have situational awareness. So our networks are going to go hugely. That all needs to be indigenous. Sensors on ground, that means all radar, sensors in the air, all kinds of electro-optical stroke on the radar side, and all sensors in space need to be Indian. So the landscape or the area of development for the innovators, for the startups, is this huge capability development which requires to come up in the future. To me, technologically, they are all low-hanging fruits. But are we addressing all of them? in theory, yes. In practically, the way things are moving in the industry, not a lot is moving in that same direction. If you want to see how IDEX has changed the scene, IDEX is probably the only scheme which is successfully supporting the startups, along with Aditi and similar schemes. I think in the last IDEX, whatever has come out in the last last month in terms of scheme, the change of IDEX direction to include DPSUs to support the IDEX schemes is, I think, a fundamental shift which needs to be recognized as a big game-changing event. And in future, I would want everything to do with technology development to happen in sync with the DPSUs or the large industry players who are manufacturing. So all system level development needs to happen along with the people who are making the systems or who are going to be making the systems. A large part of this is currently with the services. So the services need to link along with the industry, otherwise, believe me, 90% of the current IDEX projects or Aditi projects, when they reach fructification, they will find that they are still languishing in the labs because they are not linked with the systems which need to induct them. So we need to change direction in terms of our larger thought process. But the more important thing is, if you look at the future, and if you are looking at really integrating sensors, we have to look at AI in a big way, cyber security, the kind of reforms that have come not only in the MOD but in the space, cyber and AI domain in the country. It all supports this new ecosystem development. All that needs to play its part. While technologically, I say it's low-hanging fruit, in terms of overall ability to implement it, it's a huge task. It's a huge task, and that is where I think international collaboration and the players that can come in can make a lot of difference in areas which are not possible to technologically develop in the country, to have a joint collaboration. I would give an example of ISCCS, a very successful project of the Air Force, which started in 2003 as the Air Force project with Bell, totally indigenous, with the involvement of some players. So a project starts, thereafter the innovators get linked into that project. We had a hugely successful first core implementation in about 6 to 7 years. Thereafter a massive upgrade of that. It is now Pan-India, Pan-Air Force. The success of Opsindur is ISCCS centered. It was a network today that is capable and is world class. This is the kind of template which we need to shift to for all this high energy startup world and MSME world, which is developing into technologies. We need to link with projects at the higher level. So when I say that we are going to have a command and control system and every totally interlinked sensors, be it from space, air or ground, and have a total real-time surveillance and situational awareness capability and absolute command and control in real time, therefore huge element of AI in the background. This would need a system or a project to be launched from the services, be it joint, be it each service and joint on top, and thereafter link downwards. Unless we have it, whatever technology development takes place in the startup world and innovation world, we will, when the project gets defined because of the requirements now stepping into the field, everything will be reinvented. We will end up in at least 3 times the time frame, 3 times the cost, and in all probability we'll end up in systems getting imported, because by then we're back to the wall in terms of time frame and in terms of threat areas. There are areas I talked about. I want to keep it short because there's another fire chat coming up. There are areas that I've said that there are collaboration possible. The international collaboration so far has been largely focused on import of technology in terms of setting up TOT and thereafter manufacture. So the entire defense manufacturing base is because of foreign OEM setting up our manufacturing capability, and every single critical technology was neither transferred or transferred suboptimally, and that portion of technology development never happened. Further, by setting up manufacture, it does not lead to next level of technology development. So in terms of how international collaboration needs to shift for the future, I would say our industry, and this I say all from DPSs, DRDOs, our MSMEs and startup need to shift towards, and international players need to understand that we need to have joint collaborative project with joint IPR in the future. Unless we have that kind of approach, we would not be feeding into a Atmanirbharta spirit itself. And you will find that even if it take longer to develop, we would go single. So when we talk of technological sovereignty for India, all projects where we do a joint development, and in some absolute niche, it may be not joint development, it may be pure TOT, I totally agree. But at the end of the day, there has to be a technological dependence between us and the friendly foreign countries, and only then the system becomes stable for the future. Otherwise, we would remain where we were for the last 5 decades, wherein only the systems got set up for manufacturing, and thereafter we were just built to print in terms of our industry capability. So this directional change must be understood by our international players to shift to a joint collaboration and seek projects even in the field where there are low-hanging fruits within the Indian technological reach, whether we can have those technologies also implemented in your country and have the Indian industrial ecosystem as part of your supply chain. So unless we have technological development and technological dependence on each other, and manufacturing or supply chain dependence on each other, we will not have a stable system for the future that we can depend on you. And mind you, all of us will be in the same boat in the future. So time has come, if you are really talking of international collaboration, to collaborate in the right sense and in the right direction. A word quickly about what I feel in terms of our own ecosystem, whether Atmanirbharta, are we moving rapidly towards the correct direction? It's an uphill task. In spite of all the, this I maintain as a golden period of governance and reforms, and in spite of all the reforms in the Ministry of Defense, in some of the financial terms, in some areas, in projects like Aditi, etc., the kind of money being put in, and the kind of energy that has come in with space reforms, even if, in spite of those reforms, the pace of industrial change is very little. And I think the agents of change here are DRDO and DPSU labs, which and our agencies, important agencies like airworthiness and quality control, which need to really transparently and in true spirit take the private sector along, the startup world, the MSMEs. So the spirit and the transparency and the soul and heart of our industrial ecosystem and the players in the industrial ecosystem needs to change, and it needs to really understand the direction that India is trying to take and work in a cohesive manner. So the synergy between the industry players need to undergo a change. The direction is right. I'm not saying it's not happening, but it should happen faster, it should happen quickly, and the other issues of financial constraints on MSMEs and startup, the moment this change happens, the moment projects come from services, I am sure the kind of energies that I see in our financial sector, in our venture capital funds, in our other funds that are wanting to put money on the defense side, all that will gain traction, and you will see a sea change there. To my mind, even the ITEX projects need to really go to 10x from the very next installment. Every 6 months there should be projects 10 times the project that we have launched. And the moment this such cycle starts, the kind of funding that will come from the industry itself increases. And thereafter there will be a snowballing effect that we will see a technological change and pace that can keep, that can really deliver results. So that's where I'll stop. I think I would conclude with Jai Ho in terms of the spirit of itself, and Jai Hind. Thank you.